the second one of this day, with the title Digital Field Mapping with Geopaparazzi and gvSIG. It will be given by Andrea Antonello. He's environmental engineer at Hydrologist in Bolzano, in Italy, and the gvSIG Association. So I'm going to tell you about the chat. If you have any question about this presentation, you can ask at the chat, and we will be answering the questions. And the main questions, we will do it to Andrea at the end of the webinar. If you have any problem with the video or the audio, you can use the chat to inform us about the problem. We will try to solve it. So, Andrea, whenever you want.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and great to be here at this first gvSIG festival. I'm going to talk to you about an application we developed, which is called Geopaparazzi. Let me just share directly the screen with you. And so this presentation is about digital field mapping with Geopaparazzi and gvSIG. Why gvSIG? Because recently, with our company, we got into the gvSIG Association, and we started to bring our tools to be completely integrated with gvSIG. So one of the first things we tried to merge together and integrate is the Geopaparazzi digital field mapping application for Android. So let's start from scratch. In Hydrologist, we are environmental engineers, and we started to develop this application, Geopaparazzi, for our own purpose. So what is Geopaparazzi? We needed something that would be very small, very portable, that you would always have in your pocket. And what is the one thing that most of you probably today have in their pockets? It's your smartphone. And if you are able to do some mapping with your smartphone, then it's okay. And that was our initial thought. So we basically do engineering surveys, and we have always Geopaparazzi in our bag, and so it's easy to map important professional targets, but also anything that comes to your mind. So in any place you're able to quickly take some notes. When I'm talking about notes, what am I talking about? Geopaparazzi, in few words, is really about taking notes or GPS logs to keep track where you are going or where you have been during the survey. So notes, this is the dashboard. The very left image is the dashboard of Geopaparazzi, and the very important, few important things that Geopaparazzi does are summarized there. You can take a note, and this note can be a text note or a picture note, or even a sketch note that you want to draw with your finger on your smartphone or on your tablet. And then there is another possibility, this lower part here in the middle image, which are form-based nodes, which are more complex nodes. The simple text node is just taking a few words and placing them on the map. And placing them on the map is what the third screen is about. So Geopaparazzi has this mapping of information and putting them directly on a map and making them visible to the user on this map. The map obviously will need to have the possibility to show whatever background information, and Geopaparazzi gives you the possibility to place raster or vector-based maps as a background, but also recently some Spatial vector overlays to be displayed and even edited. But we will talk about this later. One other huge information that is, I think, very important is the GPS log. It's not always, I know a lot of users that don't use GPS logs, but in our case, we always keep the logging activated, because after a survey, it gives you an idea in any moment of the day where you have been. You have the possibility to show in Geopaparazzi the timestamp and the position of every point of the GPS log. So it's a very valuable information, and the digital field mapping should always make use of GPS logs. So basically, this is the summary of Geopaparazzi. Then there are sure other things that we will see. And first off, I would like to talk about what kind of base maps can you put in your background. So since we are engineering, we are interested mostly in technical maps. So let's say the default configuration allows you to put OpenStreetMaps as a background. This can be handy and useful in most of the cases, but sometimes you need to work out somewhere lost in the woods, and then you will need to have your own base maps. And different formats of maps are supported in Geopaparazzi. The first is the MapsForge offline map files. There is a website where you can download such maps, and they cover a whole nation. Then you can prepare yourself MB tiles databases, and there is also the possibility to load WMS and TMS, which is the tile map service, offline and online, in offline and online mode. Recently, we also added Rasterlight 2 support. This is still a bit experimental because Rasterlight itself is still in experimental stage. It should get to the first mature version in a couple of months, let's say. And all these formats, as you can see, the highlight is on the word offline, because when you do digital field mapping, at least in our regions, when you're out in the woods, most of the time you have no internet connection. So it's very important that you can have your base map available offline. And in this case, I show you just a few pictures starting from left to right. The first is a canopy height model, a raster, overlaid on isolines of the elevation, and you can see some circles which represent plots where we were working on serving the height of the trees. The second one is a typical technical map, as you have them here in Italy, and this can also be used for technical surveys. The third one is an overlay. It's very similar to the first one, and is an overlay of LiDAR data points on a hillshade model of the surface model. And the last one is an orthophoto aerial picture, and all of this data can be prepared to be used on Geopaparazzi, and I will show you later how this is done in gvSIG. So what about the nodes you can take? There are two nice icons in the map view. One is about nodes on the left part. The most upper one is about taking notes, and the second with the star is placing bookmarks. Bookmarks are simple positions to which you can give a name, and they have a position. So as you can see, if you long tap on this icon, it will show you the list of available bookmarks, and from there you can zoom to a bookmark or edit the name of the bookmark, or obviously remove the bookmark. More important probably is the notes list. And the notes list is similar, but it has the possibility, it has a checkbox on the very left side, and it is possible to select and delete certain nodes, but it is also possible to zoom to the nodes, and it is also possible to select nodes by a given pattern and bulk remove more nodes. That's why if you have a huge survey, you will need some of those tools in order to not delete one by one the nodes. There is also a nice tool up here, the icon on the upper right part of the view of the central image, which is an icon to sort the nodes. This gives you the possibility to sort the nodes by alphabetical order, but also you can sort them by distance from your position. So you can have always view the nearest icon in order of distance from your current position, which is quite nice. What about GPS logs? If you tap on the upper right icon, on the menu icon of the map view, a context menu opens up. You have to take care, because if you long tap on the same icon, the tools down here will disappear to leave more space to the map view. But if you just tap on it, this context menu will open of the center image. And the first entry, there's a whole pile of stuff you can do, but I would like to concentrate on the first entry, which is GPS data list. The GPS data list opens up the list of all the tracks you have recorded, so the linear GPS track data. As you can see, there's an icon that shows the color. You can select and unselect them. And then there is a settings icon, which goes into the properties of the GPS log. With the GPS log, you can change the name, you can look at the start and end time. You even have an icon which you can use to recalculate the length of the GPS track. Then there are a bunch of icons in the lower part. The first one opens the real properties like stroke, or in case of no, in this case it's just lines, obviously. So it's the stroke. You can change the stroke width, the stroke color, and you can zoom with the second icon to the start of the track. You can zoom to the end of the track with the third icon. You can click on the fourth icon, and it will open this panel here that shows you a chart of, in blue, the elevation of your track, and in green, the speed in kilometers per hour of the track. So you have an idea. This track here has been filtered a little bit, because in the past we had this chart showing very nervous GPS. These GPS you have in the smartphone have a very nervous sense of the altitude. It's not really exact, as you might know. So we now filter it a bit, and it gives a good impression where it gives a nice smooth curve of your of the profile of your track. What about data you can overlay and edit? We now, Geopaparazzi kind of married the Spatial Light database project, and it is possible to show any type of Spatial Light database on top of the base maps. So if you tap on the map menu icon, in the list you will have this Spatial Light data list. If you open that one, at first it will be empty, but with this plus icon in the lower right corner, you are able to add Spatial Light databases. As you can see, in this case, I loaded 3 different databases. What it will show you in the view is each database with the path in your SD card, and then it will show all the supported possible tables, spatial tables. And you can decide whether to show them by enable them or disable them in the checkbox, but you can also decide to change the overlay order. This is the number in the combo box on the very left of this view, and if you change these numbers, it will recalculate the order of the different tables, and will show them like that in the map view. On this side here, each table has a context menu inside which you have some options to change colors, to show the label on the features, and you can choose from the attribute table which label, which field to use as a label. There is a possibility to edit polygons, and this functionality has been funded by the Research Foundation for State University of New York. That's been a nice project, and it's been great that they supported us. It's now possible also to, between the visible layers, you can select a layer by long tapping on this yellow icon. It will show you the list of possible layers. You can select one, and this layer will get editable. The context menu icons here, when you enable editing, will show you some tools to do selection, show the attribute tables. As you can see on the right upper corner, we just selected a polygon. It will give you an idea. If you select one and it's a multi-polygon, it will show you, as in this example, one feature with 23 polygons. It will give you some idea of what you're dealing with. And then you can also show the attribute table, and you can change values and save them. There are some editing tools to create new polygons. You can use either your finger, or you can use the GPS point. So each, if you enable that, every time you a GPS point comes in, it will add you a point of the polygon. So if you have to do, like, take the boundaries of a landslide, you just put it in your pocket and you start and you go around the landslide, and you will have your polygon done. And then there is also the possibility to put a point in the center of the screen if you need to do some more precise point insertion. Obviously, this is a field tool. It's not a CAD or a full-fledged GIS. It's just to support people on the field. You won't be able to do a lot of stuff anyways in the field. Recently, because we needed it, we added also line editing. So in the Geopaparazzi 5 release, you will find the possibility also to edit line layers in Spatial Light. What is supported for now is the possibility to add new lines, to remove lines when they are selected, and you are also able to continue the last line that you had stored. So if you want to stop for a little while and then you want to continue that. At the moment, moving vertices and doing particular editing of those geometries is not supported. What about import and export? Geopaparazzi itself, without the support, let's say, of an external application, gives you the possibility to import, like, certain formats. The most well-known is probably GPX. In this view, you can also, for example, import WMS. There are some views that help you to import WMS layers. And you can export to a couple of formats. One is the KMZ for Google Earth, and the other one is GPX. What might be important to know is also this last button here, which states images, because Geopaparazzi stores all the pictures taken inside the database. So one is not able to simply have a look into a folder, inside a folder, and view those images. If you export images, it will create you a table and export all the images of your project. So if you need just to have a look at the images, you can do just that. Okay, I will give you a small example of how we do our surveys. This example is a job we did recently, and it's a census of trail tracks. Let's say you have to keep track of all the trails and create a database of that, and to identify what needs maintenance and insert all those information in a database. So the first thing we do is create a survey form. And to do that, there is a text file you can find on the Geopaparazzi homepage, some examples, and you will have to do that yourself, prepare your forms. And once you use that file you created, as in this example, we created 3 forms. They are in Italian, but they mean basically crossing, vertical markings, and furniture. So once you have your forms inserted, these buttons will simply appear in your Add Note, view. So vertical markings, for example, has this kind of form view. You have 2 tabs. One on the left side shows you a logical subdivision of the form. And in this case, we added some general information, notes, and images. And the nice thing, you have some small possibility to validate your inputs. So you can say if an input has to be mandatory, if an input has to stay between a certain number, and you can also define if an input needs to be numeric, if it needs to be a date or a string or any string. So you kind of standardize your survey so that people will not be able kind of to insert wrong stuff. I don't know if it happened to you, but you send people out and they write once crossing, the next time they write crossing without S, and so these things are really standardized. Just to complete, the other 2 forms look kind of like that. It's the crossing and furnitures. The second thing you will do is create your background maps. And to create your background maps, very nicely now, gvSIG will be able to help you. And there is, in the menu of Geopaparazzi, there is an entry called Create Geopaparazzi Tiles. This will create an MB Tiles database from the current view of gvSIG. So you just open up, it's a bit small, but you might understand this gvSIG view with a technical map, and here you have the Geopaparazzi Tiles creator, and it will show you, it will ask you the minimum zoom level you want to have, the maximum zoom level, the type of image. If it's orthophoto, you will need to select JPEG. In a case of a technical maps, you will use PNG. And then you just say the folder and the name of the database, and it will start, it will generate you the MB Tiles database. You will have to pay attention. This is a warning. Pay attention at the upper zoom level, because MB Tiles databases, when it comes to upper zoom levels, they generate, in this case, for this small part, it's like more than 8,000 tiles. So on large areas, I would not go over 19 as zoom level, because it really explodes, and it can take some time. But if you have time, there is no hard limit to the generation of these databases. So once you take that MB Tiles database and you move it on your device, you can see it will show up exactly in the same way. This is the same region on my device and on gvSIG. So then you finally go out and do your survey. The nice thing about this is that surveying is getting lightweight. So you can use any device to move around. You can go by bike, you can hang down from some bridge, and you can really survey whatever you want in mostly whichever conditions. Once you've done your survey, you have a ton of data on your device. In this case, the survey we did was a little less than a gigabyte, like around 800 megabytes, and lots of pictures, lots of GPS logs, and lots of GPS points. So at that point, you need to get your data into the GIS. And again here, gvSIG has been integrated with support for Geopaparazzi databases. In the normal add layer section, you will have a new entry, which is called Geopaparazzi, and the only thing you have to do is to move the Geopaparazzi database from your device onto the computer, and once you do that, it will show you some basic metadata. So in this upper part, if you filled in Geopaparazzi, you have the possibility to add metadata to the project. So these will be shown inside here. Why is that kind of important? Because once you start using it as we do, or if you use it as we do, we have really piles and piles of databases. So once you load it, before you load a gigabyte, you convert a gigabyte of data, you want to know if the database contains really what you want to convert. So it shows you some metadata here, and it also shows you the layers that it would generate once you start a conversion. So these three layers, simple nodes, media nodes, and GPS logs, will always be present because these are the default layers. And if nodes, images, and GPS logs are available, they will be generated. The lower part here, the lower part here, arredos, señalética, and attraversamento, are the form-based layers. So for each of them, a new layer will be generated in gvSIG. That is because gvSIG will try to generate shapefiles with the proper attribute table to best represent these complex forms. So once we start the import, the conversion, it will generate something like this. As you can see, their GPS logs are lines, simple nodes, media nodes, and then there is a layer for each of the other form types. So if we look inside some portions of the map, we will see that between the device and gvSIG, exactly the same stuff is here. It's this part here. And even better, if you look in the attribute tables of one of these layers, as for in this example, the crossings, you will see that inside the general information, we had a type, or better, tipo, materiale, parapetto, and these gvSIG will have generated a field for each of these. And you will see the entries of everything here inside here. If you took notes, in this case we didn't take many notes, as you can see, you would have them here. And the pictures, one or more picture, will be placed inside a field too. What happens to the pictures when you convert them? Shapefiles are generated in the folder you define, and all the media files are copied out into a folder that is called media and will be linked. How do you see or access the images? There is a second tool in the Geopaparazzi menu that's called Open Media Images, and it's a selection tool. So if you click on the view, it will identify the layer as a media-enabled layer, and it will open up the images you have inserted. So this is kind of how we proceed when we do our surveying jobs. I will stop here and leave some space for questions if there are some. And I leave you some links here, which are the main homepage of Geopaparazzi. There is also a mailing list you can join to ask for help. We also have a small Facebook group. If you have cool images and user stories to share, please join there, and you can share. While the mailing list is English only, the Facebook group is really whatever language you want to use. If you want to translate Geopaparazzi in your language, this is the link you want to head to. It's really quick, fast, and it won't take you a lot of time. So please, if you want to support your language, subscribe as a translator. A couple of few other links are, this is the blog on which I publish, and the label Geopaparazzi shows all Geopaparazzi related posts, and so every time I do some Geopaparazzi release, I will describe the release there. So if you might want to keep that checked out. And there's also a SlideShare channel about Geopaparazzi where you can find some presentations and also workshops that we kept. Okay, I think that's everything for me now. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, Andrea. It has been a very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
And now we have a question. Do you know any reference, any place where the project is being used successfully at this moment?
For sure, it is used. It's used by quite some professionals, I figured. But one of our, let me just go back here. Oh, I didn't find it. The thing I really like to cite is the New York State University, which sponsored also polygon editing. They use it in a project, I think it's called Map Invasive. They do survey invasive species, and they are using Geopaparazzi. Then in Osaka, in Japan, they're using a lot Geopaparazzi to do disaster management surveying. So they also have a web app. They have integrated Geopaparazzi or talk to. So there are some projects that make use of it.
Okay, thank you very much. And
thanks.
There are very interesting projects there. So there isn't. It has been very clear because there isn't any other questions.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all the participants, and the video will be available at the gvSIG Festival website too, and at the gvSIG YouTube channel. From in some minutes, maybe it will be available. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. Thanks to everybody. Bye.
Bye.